Hello and welcome to another Guardians of Wilt-Shire video. I'm your host Dewi, and this is going to be a tournament review. Now I know it's been a long time since we've had a video. I can only apologise, life gets in the way. Like I said, on previous videos we've changed jobs and it's just a little bit more difficult to meet up. We do meet up, we play games regularly on a Friday, but it's with other friends, so there's normally about 4 of us, so it's difficult to film. But I'm going to talk to you about an event I went to last Saturday, so the 23rd of June 2018, and it was an event run by Mark Kempster over in Bicester, near Oxford, and it was a 500 point event with good and evil armies, which is first, I believe, for the Southern League, because that's what it was counting towards. And it was 5 scenarios. I'll go through them as I go through my games. And I took a Maranon Horde, you would call it. It was 39 models. I had 2 captains, one with a shield. He was my leader. I had Kardosh and the Taskmaster. I then had 10 trackers, Maranon Orc with a banner, and then the rest were Maranon Orcs split. Some with shield, half with the shield, half with spear and shield. So that was a pretty sizable force, 39 models. And then I took a Galadrim force, kind of Lothlorien and Mirkwood force. I had Legolas, Rumor and a Stormcaller. Legolas was my general with an Elven Cloak. I then had something like 9 Galadrim warriors, 7 of them had shields, something like that. 9 Galadrim warriors with bow and spear, 5 Galadrim court, guards of the Galadrim court, 4 Wood Elves with spear. So no banner in there, but I did have my Stormcaller, Legolas, Rumor. So pretty decent, and I'll come into game 1 next. So game 1 was against CJ Miller, and it was Lords of Battle. Yeah, that's right. I've written these down somewhere, but I can't find a bit of paper, so I'm just going to kind of go for it. And he had Goblin King, Moria Goblin Shaman, Durbers, and a mercenary captain with some mercenaries. And a Wild Marauder in there as well. So it started off, I deployed quite far back. He deployed on the centre line with room for Durbers to march. Then we kind of first turn. Oh, and I deployed with a ruin on my right, and then a woodland in front of me, and kind of one warband in between the ruin and the woodland, because there's enough for about 3 models. And the rest on the far side, like on the other side of the woods, so they had a couple of lines to shoot. First time began, he called a heroic march, moved up. However, as he went to move his shaman, he said he was going to channel Fury. However, he didn't state it at the start of the move, and because I was going to be semi-competitive, I didn't allow it. Some people might think that's a little bit harsh at a kind of fun event like this, but there was a lot of filthy lists there, and my aim was to go there and do well. So it's part of the rules, and it's something that I know I've done similar things. I played Mikolaj at the ETC and did 2 heroic moves, but didn't call with me, and he wouldn't let me have it because it was the ETC. Fair enough. And it's just one of those, I want to get into the habit of doing it as well, so I'd know if someone did it to me, I wouldn't feel hard done by or anything like that. So it allowed me a round of shooting at the shaman. I didn't do anything to it. I think I killed like 2 goblins. That was about it. So essentially there was a couple of rounds of shooting, and about turn 3 or 4 the lines clashed, and kind of just as the lines clashed, he'd now called his heroic channel the following turn, and as the lines clashed, I used my Stormcaller to call winds on his shaman, because he had one will left he didn't choose to resist, and I blew him 8 inches away, which was quite handy. So then there was a couple of combats and kind of the standard here, there and everywhere. Durbur's pinned himself kind of against the ruin with goblins in front of him, so he couldn't really get past. And then he ended up coming over the top of the ruin. So CJ decides to bring on his goblin mercenaries, and he tries to put them in the ruin, but because of how the ruin was built, he couldn't put them around the edge of the block he wanted to, right near my guys, because they wouldn't fit fully within the base of the terrain, which is something that I used to my advantage, however flukily, because I didn't really know. And then he had some more combats, but so instead the mercenaries came on in the woodland in front of me, because there was no terrain behind me. So with that, and he had priority, I decided to try and pin as many down as I could and get as many models in the wood as possible, so that I could maximise my elven movement and get onto try and just get some quick early kills. It ended up being that the Goblin King came through and did a hurl, which killed about 6 guys. It was quite horrendous. So that was a little bit nerve-wracking. So from there, I just tried to pin down and kill as many goblins as possible, and I was always ahead on the wound counters. It looked at one point like it was going to get quite close. However, just kept pulling away, or kept getting. If he got a kill, I got a kill, etc. His shaman, the turn after the call winds, tried to come back, so I just blew it away again. I did try to call winds the Goblin King just to try and stop him from hurling on that one turn, however it didn't work. So it came down to just some kills. Legolas gradually moved away and was fighting the Marauder along with some other guys. Rumor kind of hunted down the mercenary captain in the middle of the board, in the middle of the wood even. So then it carried on kills, and near the end it got quite close. A guard of the Galadriel Court shielded against the Goblin King and won the fight, which stops him hurling the court guard through Legolas to possibly get a wound. Legolas himself ran away, and it ended up we were both one-off breaking. However, like I said, I continued to get more kills than him, so I won 3-0. So that was the end of game 1, and like I said, it was good v evil, so I knew next round I would be using my evil force, which I was quite looking forward to. I was more nervous about my elven force, because I'm not particularly a good player. I play with evil a lot, so happy with the first win with my elves. So I will go on to game 2 now. So game 2 was against Dave Coles of Radstock. It's about half an hour from Bath, I think. It's relatively close, well, to me at least. So this scenario was Fog of War, and Dave had a beautifully painted Gondor force with Boromir and Faramir. So as it was Fog of War, your leader, obviously, there's no VPs for him. So I knew that he had to protect Faramir, and I had to kill Faramir. And if I did, it'd be about a 10-point swing. So the game started with both of us kind of edging towards each other, trying to get some bowfire in. There was a couple of ridiculous rounds of shooting. So in one, Dave shot through 3 ranks and got hit on Cardouche and got a wound, I think, which was a little worrying. And then the next round, and then a couple of rounds later, I shot 2 trackers and hit Boromir and killed Boromir's horse, and he was standing behind a wall, like quite a big fortification. So that was quite interesting, and I knew that was quite a big thing, because it means Boromir doesn't go around murdering all my Morannons, which he could quite easily do. They were both horse and lanced as well. So then, like the next round or the round after, I shot 4 trackers at Faramir, who was behind 2 ranks of bowmen. I only hit with 1. It got through the first rank, through the second rank, hit the horse and killed the horse, which I was very happy about. Obviously, having Faramir and Boromir both off their horses, it was not too bad. So because of that, I edged more and more forward, kind of keeping a bit of a ruin to my left, so that his archers couldn't get to me as quick, and then in front of me was just one of his other warband, which had Warriors of Minas Tirith and some Fountain Court Guard. This meant that Boromir had to go all the way around his own troops, so he wasn't in the combat for a long time, and I could push forward and forward and forward. My hero I was keeping alive was my Morannon captain without a shield, so my non-leader captain. So I got just over the halfway point and had some trackers just to the just my side of the ruin, and then all my army on the right of the ruin as I looked here. And it was Dave's priority, and he charged Faramir into 2 trackers, and he was in range of my leader, so I charged my leader in, got another tracker in and got 2 supports on the whole combat. Heroic struck, so did he. He rolled a 1, I managed to get higher. I won the fight, and then proceeded to use my second point of might to cause 2 wounds. He saved 1 with fate and kept the other fate, but we both kind of admitted he should have died in that combat. It was quite an annoying, not annoying, disheartening combat. It was a bit like, oh, okay then, I've just used not a lot of resources, but resources to get hold of you and try and do something, and it didn't quite pay off. So then, the next turn, my hero I was trying to keep alive, the other captain, came into the combat, and proceeded to strike again. So did Faramir. He only got a 1 again. So yeah, Faramir struck, and I struck. He got 1 again, which meant again I went higher. This time I actually used a point of might to win the combat, but proceeded to strike him down. So then, I've done this wrong. Sorry, I'm building models at the same time. So then I kill Faramir, and I know at this point it's quite a foregone conclusion. He's charging 1 guy off to go get a bit of terrain, but I'm not too worried about him. I keep tying Boromir up. Pretty much every time I'm winning combats, I'm killing Fountain Court or Warriors Minas Tirith, just because I'm strongest, not just because I'm stronger than them. What ends up happening? So then it comes down to like a couple of combats near the end. I've got 2 guys on my terrain piece, and he's charged them both with a Guard of the Fountain Court. To which point I charge, and then I win the combat and manage to kill him, which I'm quite happy with, and proceed to. There's one combat that matters because you could back away onto the terrain piece, and therefore deny me some VPs. And we were worrying about the distances and all that kind of stuff. And in the end, I went, "Oh, I'll just roll to see if I kill him," and did. So it ended up being a 12-3 victory, which I was very pleased with. Especially once I got them off, Faramir and Boromir off their horses, I knew I'd done my job. So that was game 2, so I am 2 from 2, and I'll go into game 3 next. So game 3, I end up playing Tom Seacombe, and this game was quite interesting. So before we started, it was a roll-off, and I was the younger, so I rolled, and I had to use my good force, which I was okay with, but then looking at his evil force, it was not the best matchup for me by a long stretch. It meant that I had my 30 models versus his 39, and he also had 4 Orc Trackers on Warg and another 2 Warg Riders, which obviously was not very good for me at all, being elves on foot, and it ended up just being him slugging towards me. And eventually I caused some wounds on. I took Ugluk's Fate early. I caused a wound on Malher and he took it, but I just didn't get the shots against the they are different. Oh well. I just didn't get the shots against the Warg Riders who were kind of going around the edge to get off. The only instance was I killed an Orc on a Warg who was coming near the end of the game. However, the Warg stayed, which is obviously demoralising. And then it ended up just being kind of a bit of a fight with not. I barely got out of. Well, I don't think I even got out of my board half. So it ended up being a little bit of a losing battle. However, me and Tom were talking and saying if I'd rolled for my evil and he'd rolled his good. He had a Thranduil Legolas Stormcaller with like 27 Wood Elves, I think it was. So if I'd rolled my evil, it would have been very much the flip side of that. Excuse me. So it was a great game. It was a fun game. He's a really good guy to play against. It was just I was fighting a losing battle from the start, I think. And we had a bit of discussion about it afterwards, and he had similar thoughts on the whole thing. So yeah, I ended up with a 5-2 loss because I eventually killed Ugluk with Rumel, which was quite good. So it was a solid attempt, but it was a losing battle, so I lost 5-2 in that one. And I'll go on to game 4. So going into game 4, I was 2 wins and a loss. I don't know where I was in the tournament at this point. I was just kind of playing my games individually and seeing how well I could do. So game 4, again I was using my Evil Force. It's quite good. I alternated the whole weekend, or the whole day even. And so I played Dean Broadway, who you will know from beating Jay, to the posting of the community blogs. And he brought with him Thorin, Thrall, and Dwalin. He had 16 warriors of airball, half with shields, half with spears, and 4 Grimhammers. So it was hold ground. And I had to use 3 points of my 2 on my taskmaster, 1 on Cardiff, to get my guys on all in the same place, because otherwise there would have been a slight dwarf sandwich. He eventually had to use a point of might to bring on Thorin, which was fine by me. So I then, what happened then? There was a dirt road running down the middle, and about halfway up on one side was a hobbit hole, and then on the other, with kind of walls either side of it, and then on the other side was just a straight continuous wall. And because of where the centre was, it meant that I could just kind of bunker down, which was fine. So I got 3/4 of my force just lined up against this wall, and it eventually paid dividends. I didn't bother charging over. I definitely played tactically on this one, and kind of forced him to fight me across the wall, so I was defending the barrier, which is obviously much more beneficial. Eventually, my quarter that wasn't across the board. Sorry, just replying to a message. Kind of was holding up the dirt road, so he couldn't kind of flank me either. And Thorin was trapped behind 1 Grimhammer, who was constantly fighting a tracker for most of the game. So Thorin only got into combat right near the end. So did Thrall. So it was a bit of a, I'm just gonna sit here and see if you can do anything, because I had more models. I had about 16 more models than him at the start. So when I bunkered down against the wall, and he's got in the ways for hitting the wall, even in combat, and I've got the tough defence, it was a struggle for him. And I eventually, I think it was so I didn't wound Thrall. I didn't break him, but I had twice as many models. I think it was a 5-0. Oh no, it might have been a 3. It was a 3-0 win, if I remember correctly. Because I only had more models than him. Nothing else happened. Really good game. We had a really good conversation. Really nice pace game. Just kind of chilled. Not too much strain on it or anything like that. And it was the first time I'd properly chatted to Dean, and it was a really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It's one of those games which you're not rushed for time. Neither of you's playing particularly filthily. I would say I played tactically to play for the win. I wasn't gonna outkill him or anything. Not in a straight up fight. I made sure his heroes weren't going to do a lot of damage to me. So I was definitely wary of them and tried to keep them out of combat as long as possible. Excuse me. And near the end, I got a captain and struck once or twice, just to try and avoid the combats and stuff like that. So definitely a really, really enjoyable game. It was just one of those. It was kind of like the Tom Knight game 3. I had more numbers than him, so therefore it was going to be a struggle for him. So yeah, that was game 4, and that put me on to the second table, going into the last game. So I'll come back and explain how my last game went. So going into the last game, like I said, I was on table 2, which was really quite exciting. I had a chance to play for a prize. I have no idea which one I just used, so I used this one. And we already knew what the prizes were because Mark had them on the table in front of him from the morning. So whoever came first got to choose, obviously, the first one, second choose the second one, and third one choose the last one, or get given the last one, I should say. So the prizes were 2 of the Nazgul of Dol Guldur packs. Don't ask me which ones, cannot remember. Mark might be able to say. And a box of Goblin Mercenaries and Galadriel Commanders. So I was very keen on the Goblin Mercenaries, as I have the other 2 lots of prizes. It was the only one I really wanted, so if I got to choose, then I would. I knew Tom Seacombe was also after them, and he was currently playing on the top table against Martin Seed, who they played each other in round 4 as well. But because Martin drew one, and that was the first one Tom lost, they had to play again. So I played Chris Dan, who is a lovely, lovely guy, from Mid Sussex, I believe, or at least friends with some page. I know that much. So we were playing Contest of Champions, and I was he was the youngster. So he rolled, and he got his evil force, which was his Angmar force. So he was playing with Witch King, Barrow White, Shaman, and Burder. So I was a bit, and Orcs, one with a banner, and a Spectre. So I was a little bit worried. Obviously Legolas is my leader, and he's a bit squishy, and it's not great. But like I said, his Witch King was his leader, so I was feeling a little bit more confident about it. So it started up here, put Burder on the front line. Legolas, I deployed everything 3 inches back, with everything kind of Legolas had 2 supports already with the court guard and just elves across the front line. So turn 1 starts, he channels Fury, rolls for it, rolls double 2, which was excellent for me, obviously. I think it probably paid into my hands quite a lot. Not as much as I thought it would. I didn't have anything terror causing, so it wasn't that much of an issue. And he caught a heroic move because I won priority. So it comes in, Burder comes in, the lines clash, we get to combat, we start going through combat, so we get to Burder's combat, and Chris realises he forgot to heroic strike. So I think I win that. Oh yeah, so before this, the Witch King tried to Sapwheel Legolas on a 6. I rolled a natural 6 on 1 dice to avoid it. He then cast a 2 dice Paralyze with a 6. I rolled a 3, so I used all 3 of my might to not be paralysed, which is one of the reasons why I then couldn't strike back. So it comes to it. I think I win that fight. Or does Burder win that fight? I think Burder won that fight and caused 3 wounds. I saved 1 with I saved 2 of them with fate, took the fate and saved the last. Took a wound and saved my last fate. I probably in hindsight should have taken all 3 fate and tried to save Alborn because he was going to get hammered again. So then the next turn, Burder hits the. So yeah, I try and call wins Burder. only cast it on a 3, he resists without using might. So next turn the Witch King sap wheels the Stormcaller. Makes sense. I kill 4 orcs in the first turn, just in combat, which I was amazed by. Because he had a similar number of models to me. I think he had 1 less, so it was 29 of his, but with 2 casters technically with the Barrow Wight and Birder, so I was a little bit worried. So then we end up slugging it out. Birder fights Legolas again. I win the fight this time, and I think I caused 1 wound on him all game. And then the Stormcaller comes in to help, strikes higher than Birder, so wins the fight. Eventually Legolas gets killed by Birder. It was pretty much a given. So now I literally am just waiting. I don't. His Witch King cannot get a wound, otherwise I lose. I'm constantly tying up Birder with Galadriel Court Guard. That fight 6 is absolutely crucial. Really, really handy. So I'm tying him up. The game goes on. Eventually, it leads to the Witch King gets onto a Wood Elf with an Orc, and he may have had a spear support. I don't think he did though. And the Wood Elf shields. Hi Milo. And fails to win the fight. The Witch King rolls to wound, and fails to kill the Wood Elf, and then the Orc steps up and kills the Wood Elf, which obviously is excellent for me. So then it comes down to I break him, tie up the Witch King with the Galadriel Court Guard and 2 supports, and Birder, and watch the rest of his army run. It ended up having like 3 orcs, a Spectre, who now has the banner. This is right near the end because Rumor's killed the banner bearer, and the Witch King, and Birder. Me and my hastiness don't tie off the routes to my supports. So then the Witch King is fighting a single Galadriel Court Guard, and it comes down to it. So Chris rolls a 4 and a 2, but didn't specify which one was the banner bearer. So we did a randomise, and the 4 ended up being the banner, so it became a 3. And I said, well, I would have shielded, and it makes sense. So I roll my 2 dice, I see a 1, and then I finally see a 6, which is obviously excellent. I win the fight, and the Milo, get away. Oi, get away. Sorry, there's some models on the sofa, and he's walking towards them. And so I eventually beat the Witch King, and the game ends because he 25% at that point. So I have got away with the narrowest of wins. I win 2-0 because I broke him and wasn't broken. Incredibly tense game, incredibly fun, played in really, really good spirits. Nothing wrong between us. It was a really warm day, so really sweaty, incredibly close, a big hug at the end, really, really nice, and we both gave each other most sporting, I think. I definitely gave it to him, and I think he gave it to me. So, comes down to it, at the end I find out that Martin has won against Tom. I think if either of them won, they would have won the whole thing, because Tom he won his first 2 games 12-0. So he had a massive VP difference on me, and it came down to it. So Martin ended up winning the whole thing. You may have seen the photos. He won 4 games, drew 1. I think it was a 7-all draw with Sam Page, because they were on the table next to us at one point. And I came second, which I was really, really happy with. That was 16. Really, really happy with. So Martin and Tom's game had finished before ours, so I go up and say, and Mark says, right, you've come second, which prize would you like? You have the choice of Galadriel Commanders or Goblin Mercenaries. So, as you may have noticed, I have been building my Goblin Mercenaries. However, in my infinite wisdom, I have lost a head. I'm not entirely sure where. It may have happened while I was cleaning them, it may not have been there at the start. So I'm attempting to green stuff mould ahead. Otherwise I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do. Probably try it again. So yeah, really, really good event. Lovely terrain as always. Really good TO. Really, really good guys. Everyone at the tournament was really, really good. And I was really, really happy to finish second. So I thought as a comeback to the channel, I'd record something. Sorry I sound a little bit monotone. It's quite late. I've been up for 14, 15 hours, and just thought I'd get one done before I forget everything. So hopefully this will be up soon. So if you like the videos, please comment, like, share and subscribe. I know not many people are doing Lord of the Rings SPG videos anymore. I'm going to try and get back into them. Hopefully get some stuff done relatively soon. Got nothing in the pipeline, just more vlogs and stuff to keep people entertained. So yeah, if you like it, please comment, like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.